just before I talk about the book, Breaking the Cycle of Workplace Bullying, before I introduce Mabore, I just wanted to arrangements here in terms of admin. We're going to use the chat to make comments, to offer questions to Mabore. What's going to happen now is, you can use the Q&A obviously as well, if you would like to. I'm going to introduce Mabore for those who don't know her, but I'm sure everybody knows her well. And then we're going to have a general discussion about the book. And then we will have ample time to open for all of you who is joining us this afternoon and supporting Mabore. So we'll have an opportunity for you to put questions to her, comments, and so on. And then we wrap up and we have dinner. So let me start by introducing Mabore. Very short. She's the founder and MD of Full Potential. It's a consulting company, a boutique consulting business that she started. As I indicated, she specialized, amongst others, in learning and development, in leadership coaching, DEI, and belonging, amongst others. Throughout her career, she's been involved in very senior HR positions in provincial government, national government, as well as in many listed companies. Amongst others, she's also plowing back into society, and for that she was a board member of the Johannesburg Child Welfare. She did an honours degree in BA honours at UNISA, apart from undergraduate degrees, and then she's done a Masters of Philosophy in coaching at Stellenbosch Business School. SBS. I just had a meeting with them half an hour ago. So that gives you an idea of Mabore. Let's give her a warm welcome, Mabore. Now, Mabore, let's talk about the book. What motivated you to write the book? I mean, it's quite a step to decide to write a book.
Hi, Velelem, and hi to everyone who attended the launch. It's great to have you here. So what motivated me to write the book, Velelem, it's very personal. It's deeply personal. After spending over 2 decades in corporate, at the peak of what I thought is the peak of my career, I encountered what many professionals dread and in many instances unable to name, which is workplace bullying. My experience wasn't marked with blatant hostility or overt aggression. It was subtle, insidious, and deeply damaging. I had just joined a new organization, and I faced what I later found out it's relational bullying. Instead of direct confrontation, there are exclusive tactics undermining your work, manipulating perspective. So what motivated me to write the book really is, after I had gone through this experience for over 3 years, and I realized that a number of issues, that motivated me is that we don't know how to deal with workplace bullying. A lot of people's lives are affected, and we continue with interventions that we've been, implementing, but nothing changes. So I wanted people to be able to identify workplace bullying. That's why the book is more, storytelling, examples of real life examples, and also, coming up with, I'd say, proactive approach in dealing with workplace bullying.
Okay. Just incidentally, before we carry on, Ziel will post the link to the book where you can purchase it. It's on our website in e-format as well as the printed format. And for the launch, we have a 20% discount on both the versions of the book. So there's really no excuse not to get a copy. In your book, you describe this journey, if I can call it that, after 3 years and so on, where you've been bullied. I mean, it was very intense. It was very hurtful and so on. How did you cope during that period?
I did not cope. But obviously, as a senior leader, the first thing, I did not want to be seen, to not perform, not showing up. So the first thing I did, because it was a new organization, I thought maybe I'm not understanding, maybe I'm not, gelling well with the organization. So I went out and found a coach, out of my own pockets. I had an executive coach, somebody that I can share with, to say, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm seeing. Because in the beginning, it was difficult to even identify this as bullying. I didn't know that, it was bullying. Secondly, I thought I'm too senior, to be bullied. I know my story, I know what I need to do. And so I found a coach. And I think through the help of a coach, with time, I then realized that no, what I'm going through is bullying. And then I started researching what is bullying. And then I started understanding, okay, so if this happens, this is bullying. Because things like social exclusion, you don't really think that you are being bullied. There are critical meetings where they don't invite you, but you are still accountable for the work. You are left out in some social, gathering that maybe all your colleagues are there. Things like that. In the beginning, I felt like, no, I didn't know what this is. But the more I researched, the more I really understood that this was bullying. And I mean, with time, I would say maybe 18 months, I started feeling it physically, I started having anxiety. You won't believe that if it was a Sunday, Sunday afternoon, my whole body will start feeling awkward and my stomach would turn because my mind was already preparing for the week. And the week was so unstable. You never know you can't even plan your week properly. So what I did really is finding someone to assist me who was a coach. But later on, I then went and looked for psychological help.
Okay. But I mean, the bottom line is that through this process, we got a book. You managed to write a book about your experience. Now, give us a bit of a definition of bullying. Because what struck me in the book is that the behavior of a bully, to be classified as a bully, is much wider than many people think.
So I'm going to read from the book the definition because I don't want to mess it up. But there's a number of definitions in terms of, workplace bullying. And let me see where it is. I need to find it. But it's more consistent behavior that is harmful, belittling, that causes harm. There's a lot of misuse of power, and that I think at the end makes you feel unworthy and feel undermines you, and you feel like you don't, your confidence has dropped. And so as I say, the definition is vast, but I settled with one that says it's repeated behaviors that belittles you, intimidates you, harasses you, and and you end up feeling undermined. You feel like you're not in control. Your confidence has dropped.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned social exclusion. The fact remains that that part of the brain, which gets activated when you experience physical pain or being hurt physically, is also the same part of the brain that lightens up if you're excluded, socially excluded. So
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what can you do? I mean, we cannot cover the whole notion of bullying tonight, but what can somebody do if they experience being bullied in the workplace? What advice would you give a person like that?
Well, that's a tough one. But the first thing I think is to find help. Firstly, you need to recognize and acknowledge that you've been bullied. You need to understand what you are experiencing is not just part of the job, because that was one thing for me. You know, when they say the higher you go, the colder it becomes. I thought, at executive level, obviously it's gonna be tough. So it's part of the game. That's what I thought it is. So for me, it was empowering to get to a point where I could name the behavior. So that's the first thing. And I also want to encourage people to trust their instinct. If you feel belittled, isolated, and constantly anxious about your work interaction, something is wrong. So what do? You go and find help. You go and ask. That's what I did. I realized I need someone, a professional that I could talk to. Now, not all of us can afford to get a professional help, but you seek help, you communicate, you ask your HR department, you ask a trusted colleague, because you do need the support. Secondly, I would say document everything. Keep a detailed record of incidents, including times, location, what was said, what was done, and if there were any, witnesses. If there are emails, save them. Note performance reviews, some of the comments. I remember I went to a career panel discussion. My line manager was not part of the career panel discussion, but she was supposed to give me feedback. The feedback I got, it was like I'm being butchered. At the end, I asked, so are you saying to me that there was nothing positive that was found, about me? And I made sure that I actually understand and document, all those things that were happening, because this type of behavior, you end up forgetting, because it happens ad hocly, it's overt, you might end up forgetting, but you feel the feeling. But if people ask you what exactly happened, and sometimes it feels like you are being too sensitive, you're paying attention to every small little thing. So that's why it's important that people actually document this, so that you can also, manage yourself and know that now it's time for me to reach out to address this. If it's possible, I also encourage people to speak to the line manager or whoever is bullying them, if that is possible, because sometimes it's not. if it's a leader and they are aggressive, you may not be able to go back to them and say, when you do this, this is how I feel, and this is how it makes me behave or whatever.
Yeah.
And then obviously, then we need to deal with the bullying. You can obviously all organization has formal channels. You report to HR. Now, in my case, the bullying was institutionalized. So it doesn't matter where you go, It was almost like the culture of the organization. Well, that didn't stop me from trying to engage. I did engage. I did engage at the senior level. I went to another, one of the other companies. I spoke to someone senior there, but I soon realized that they are not able to do anything. When they say you are on your own, and then, I realized I'm on my own. And at that time, I was obviously going through psychological help, for my mental health. I was diagnosed with mood disorder because my mood would change because of the way, today is this, tomorrow is that. And then I started thinking about, I'm getting this help, but I keep going back to the same environment. It's not changing. I have engaged, at some point, engaged with my line manager. It's not changing. And I sometimes say, people, don't die there. I know a lot of people are not brave enough to walk away. But in most cases, if the issues are not addressed, know when to walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I see here Grant makes the point that institutional bullying disguises workplace bullying through performance management. I think that's quite true. And then Tumi makes the point, and she confirms what you said there about how important it is to document everything, because you're going through trauma, and during the trauma the brain plays up. And you can't recall the specifics and so on. So document. I just want to ask you, and then we open to the floor. My question is about you said almost a culture of bullying, and I've just read a manuscript from a medical practitioner where she describes and she labels it as there was a culture of bullying and she couldn't survive there. She left. So if that's the case, is it worthwhile trying to fight it, or should one just pack your bags and find something else?
So I want to give you an example as I answer this question. So in my instance, Exco was on Monday, every Monday. So in most cases, I'll have to present a paper at Exco. And we would be sitting outside the boardroom as, it felt like we were cattle that are going to be, slaughtered. It's like we're going to the slagpan. You know that when you come out of that boardroom after you've presented your piece, you will be in tatters. Now, in that instance, do you fight? Of course, I tried to fight. And in my case, I really buried myself in the work, because I thought, if I excel, if my work is flawless, then I will not be found. But the harder I worked, the more difficult it became, the more criticized I was. Comments like, you think we were not working all this time waiting for you to come with your fancy presentations. It's a lot of things. So I stomached it for 3 years, but it did not work. I had
Yeah.
to walk away. Yes.
Because I just want to reiterate that the strength of the book is firstly what where Mabore describes what she did now, her own experiences, but then the remedies, the steps that you can take within your organization. Not only handling your own situation, but how to eradicate, as the title says,
Yes.
bullying within an organization. She provides beautiful models and checklists and steps that you can take, which I found, for instance, refreshing to a large extent. Mabore, I see there are a couple of questions already. Let's ask the first one here. How would you suggest we handle a situation where bullying is part of the culture and the leader is the bully and everyone conforms? To an extent, you answered that. Do you want to add maybe anything else?
I think for me, in most cases, you find that bullying becomes a learned behavior because people are seeing what their leaders are doing and they copy that. Of course, that's not the only reason why people bully. So I feel like the approaches that we've been implementing are very reactive, in the approach. We beat the bully and the victim is left there with wounds that last them forever. And we then suffer in terms of talent. So yes, the question is, if it's institutionalized, what do you do?
Yeah.
It's a tough one, Willem, because my approach is let's change the culture of the organization. Bullying is an emotional, it stems from, emotional wellness. So what I recommend is, can we make sure that the people that we employ are emotionally well?
Yeah.
Can we find ways and means to make sure that they're emotionally well before they can even bully someone? So we need to change, in the approach. Even when we do assessments, for example, when we recruit a new person, when we do assessments, can we include an assessment there, to see the emotional well-being of this person? And I'm not saying if it comes up that, this person's emotional level maybe is a bit lower, we don't appoint them. No, we become proactive and help them, through a structured process for, emotional well-being. Yeah, but it's a difficult one if at the top, if it moves from the top to the bottom.
Absolutely, but I think there are very interesting comments, valid comments are coming through. Margaret made the point that often HR is also being bullied, and they should not, and they are also not equipped to handle bullying. It is should be compulsory training for HR. I think I absolutely agree 100%. And then this is a very important one. It is done in such a way that it's subtle. It's a subtle way that your confidence diminishes daily, and you grow increasingly less confident about your abilities. And then lastly, now here is Sylvia makes the point: is it ask a question? Is it possible that the bullies are not aware that they are being bullying others?
Yes and no. Of course, there are people that don't know that they are bullying. So there are people, okay, maybe let me put it this way. There are two types of bullies. The intentional ones who are using it as part of power, and then there are those that are unaware that they are bullying people, maybe because of their emotional state, their background, And the truth is, it's easier to deal with the one that is not aware that his behavior or his or her behavior is coming through as bullying. Because you can educate them, you can put them through a process, and then they are aware. But the ones that are using that as part of, maintaining power, they know exactly what they are doing. So it becomes very difficult.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mabore, Tumi asked, did your mood disorder become better after you left? I'm asking because a colleague was diagnosed with the same thing 2 weeks ago, and I worry that her condition might be chronic.
I was put on a 5-year treatment plan, which is coming to an end at the end of 2025. It took 9 months for my mood to stabilize after I have left. When I was there, I was okay, but obviously because there will be incidences, then yeah. But I was on a 5-year treatment plan.
Sure.
Oh, I'm still on that treatment plan, and I still see my psychiatrist twice a year, and I still see my psychologist 4 times a year, just to make sure that we finish the treatment plan. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, but good luck on that side. Willie asked a question. He says, it seems these days HR is not the first point of contact. What will be the best approach? I suppose meaning that if you're being bullied.
So with one of my clients, they have they've implemented almost like someone who's like a champion. I would not say the actual word that they are using because I didn't obtain permission, but they use something almost like a champion in an environment. Maybe in this department, they will nominate someone, and that person must have certain qualities. It doesn't have to be HR, it doesn't have to be the line manager, but that person walks the journey with the person that's been bullied. So if you are bullied, you go and report to the champion, and the champion will then take you through a process with HR, but they walk the journey with you. And I think it's because the journey becomes very lonely. Even if you report, you are on your own. If you do need psychological help, if you need someone to, go with you to support you as a colleague. So I find that approach, more supportive to the employees, and it's almost like providing a safety net, to feel like if I go and report, I will not be alone.
Yes.
Because HR, they follow an HR process, and sometimes, it's not an easy process to go through, especially from an emotional point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mabore, there are so many questions and comments here that we're not going to get through half of them. But Dr. Sindile asks, how does it differ from workplace harassment?
Very interesting. It is part of workplace harassment. Bullying is part of workplace harassment.
Yeah, I think you make that point also in the book.
Yeah.
I just want to see. All right, let's look at the question here quickly. You see, this question comes up in the chat room as well. As someone who's essentially non-confrontational, how do you confront the situation? In other words, the bullying. Most times you just want to hide in your shell and sweep it under the carpet. And I think, by the way, also that people who are non-confrontational are being more easily targeted because the bully knows that his behavior is going to be not challenged that easily and so on.
And the truth is, if you are confrontational and you are firm, you are gonna suffer because it's almost like the pressing. The more you speak, the more they press you down. So if you are non-confrontational, you need to use systems in the company that will help you, through that. Unfortunately, I won't advise anyone not to do anything. Because if you don't do anything, unfortunately, you are going to burst. Either, it depends. You'll burst and just pack your things and walk, or you will burst and, yeah. So it is important that when it happens, you find a way of, speaking, seeking help. Colleagues, maybe if there's colleagues that can support you. HR, unfortunately, in most organizations, HR is not seen to be supportive. And I guess because in HR, we see this as now it's a process. There's a case, somebody said bullying. What does the law say? Let's follow our policy, 1, 2, 3 steps. We forget that there is a human being behind this case, who is going through a really, really tough time.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to add to that just now. I want to remind our audience that Zia has posted the link for the book. It is in the chat room at the moment, so you can buy the book right away and support our great author. Now, Benny Isaacs, just to take your point a little bit further about HR, Benny Isaacs says, what if HR is one of the drivers of systemic bullying when they're supposed to act as a safety net? Huh? You see? So just a comment from my side here. I mean, HR's role is actually there to be an advocate for the employees, a champion for the employees, not for the shareholder. Obviously, a shareholder is one of the stakeholders in being a champion for your employees. And I think that is starting, we're starting to miss that point. I've seen an article last year by John Boudreau in the HR Business Review on specifically that topic. He says HR must go back to their role of being a champion, an advocate for their employees. In any case, you react to it, please.
So, yeah, that's a tough one, Dylan. When HR is, and I've seen in many instances that we are almost enablers. I say we because I'm also an HR professional. We are almost enablers because the bullies are the ones that get the biggest performance bonuses. In mining, they call them A-stars, they are the ones that get the awards. And what message are we sending to our people when we're calling an award and everybody knows that this person is a bully, is achieving results through harassing other people? So yes, it's a tough one if the organization is not, prepared to do something. But I think that employees must speak up. How will the organization know that HR is the one that's, perpetuating the bullying? We've got hotlines, we've got systems where people must speak up. And if enough people speak up, the organization has an obligation to do something about it.
Yeah. I just want to go quickly. You're absolutely right. Here's something Jones Follow asks, what if the very same bullies are the ones you're supposed to report to? Well, I suppose that happens quite often.
Yes, of course. In most cases, the bully is the line manager. Well, not all cases, but most cases.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to say quickly, Grant, yes, I agree with you. couple of more questions. We're not gonna finish here before 9 tonight.
I think it shows that this conversation needs to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Here's a very interesting question. Can a senior be bullied by a junior? And how do we move away from being victimized and shunned down when that's the case?
Yes, a senior can be bullied by a junior. It's possible because of you know, I have a typical incident that I was dealing with recently. So this person is a graduate, is coming in, you know, on a graduate program, but their personality is so hostile, and they just selected one person in the organization. They were spreading rumors about them. They were, you know, doing all sorts of things, and they were bullying a senior, somebody that they found here, somebody that's supposed to train them. And you know what the organization said? How can you allow to be bullied by a junior? You know, but what do you do when somebody does things like that?
Yeah, I think in listening to you, bullying of senior citizens in business or wherever by more junior people or younger people are quite prevalent. Yeah, I just want to make see what Tumi says is makes the point that maybe you should run a master class and obviously the recording. Yes, we will make the recording available to everybody. Yes, we'll do that. Let's see quickly here, more questions.
And yes, the master class, it's we're going to be having sessions after this, obviously. On the book, we developed a training program that we're going to be training, because I think we need a different approach, in terms of how we talk about this conversation.
Yeah. Look, I think a masterclass can be very nice in providing broad guidelines and so on, and then that combined with the coaching, personal coaching, one-on-one coaching can be ideal. Okay, unfortunately, this is from Anonymous. HR is caught in a difficult situation to address such issues, fearing being bullied themselves by those in power. But HR is actually in a very powerful position themselves, and they should use that power, I think.
Yes.
Any comments from your side?
You know, we like to say as HR execs, we want to sit at the table. This is when HR needs to show up. Yeah. This is when HR must go sit with the CEO and say, I am your advisor, I'm your eyes and ears, and this is what is happening. This is how it is showing up. You know, for me, in one instance, in one of my roles as HR executive, I was an HR executive to a male, you know, domineering male guy. So I thought, okay, I've been talking to this guy. This guy is not hearing me. Let me find another man who can go and speak to him over whiskey, you know. So I created that environment. I booked the whiskey session and I briefed the guy, this is what I want. When you come back here, this message must have landed.
Yeah.
And it landed. So we need to find ways of influencing.
Yeah.
Because we are in a powerful position to do that. We must not be afraid. I think the biggest challenge is our HR executives, not all of them, of course, are afraid because they think because they will be bullied, they'll be victimized. No, if you're an HR exec, I mean, you've got power. You've got the boards that you can, you know, engage. You have to do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I will ask, I'm also going to ask Magdalene to send to all the delegates here, because I know there's a lot of HR people and also senior HR people and learning and development people. We're running a great OD conference here end of February, and a lot's going to be covered in terms of culture change.
Yes.
So that'll provide good ideas for people if they want to attend and want to find out more about how do you systematically change culture. It doesn't matter in which direction, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Let me see quickly here. A question here. Okay, that's just a firm. Okay, but now here, Grant Sapto says, a code of good practice needs to be properly implemented now with serious fines for perpetrators. So in your case, I mean, in the book, you deal with a code of practice and the importance of that. So thanks for that, Grant. So if you want to get an example of code of practice, but I would like to ask now, do you think that workplace bullying is decreasing, staying the same, going up?
Going up.
Going up. Okay.
Because,
and yeah, carry on.
Because people see it happen, nothing has been done, about it, and it's almost like they have permission to continue.
Yeah, and they've got a fantastic role model now in a certain president of a certain country, which I'm sure is going to let loose more bullies in this world. Okay, guys, let me see. Can I please have the link to the conference? Okay, the link to the conference, Magdalene is going to send it to everybody who's here on the call at the moment. It'll come through probably through tomorrow sometimes to all of you. She's also, by the way, just for your information, going to send you information about our HR Directors Conference, which is our flagship that's coming up. Guys,
I think, we probably need to have the conversation at the HR Directors Conference. Those are the people that need to hear this.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I think that brings us to the end of a great afternoon. I salute you, Mabore, for taking the courage to fight this, firstly, and then to plow back to society space, basically, because I mean, people really needed this sort of guideline, apart from just going on Google or running to a counselor and so on. So here they have a fantastic piece of work that they can easily access. It's very well easily written. People can engage with it very easily. So thank you very much to you for taking that time and effort. By the way, she's been promising me a book for the last 10 years already. But I think the book that was going to come 10 years ago is not the one that we're talking about here today.
And you're correct, Velelam, because when I had that conversation with you 3 years ago, is it 5?
Yeah, more or less.
I don't remember. I was still hurt, I was still angry. And I think the book that would have come out wouldn't have come out this way.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that it happened this way, because it was also therapy for me, but also it was more about, let's find a solution. It doesn't help for us to complain and beat the bully, because I also think we need to help the bully as well. Somehow find a way, unless they can be helped.
Yes. All right. Mabore, I just want to thank Sia. Where's Sia at the moment? Sia, can you just put your
Hi,
camera on.
everyone. Yes.
There we are. Sia is the midwife of the book. She runs our publishing site and she produced the final product. Also to Zia for organizing this event. Zia and Magdalene, who did all the administration side. To you also, thank you there, Zia. Thank you, Magdalene. Where are you? Katie as well. All right. So thank you very much for taking the time and effort. And to you, Mabore, again, thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you so much to the Knowledge Resource team. Yeah, you guys did an amazing job on the book. I don't know how many times I've read it, and so I think for me this is a call to action. I have a child's friend, young boy who's at primary school, who is now afraid to go to school because of another child bullying them. So it is a cycle. The father gets bullied at work, comes home, bullies the mother bullies the children go and bully other children. So it becomes a revolving, it's a cycle that never ends. We do need to do something about it. We have to find different approaches. And if you go and read the book, there's an approach, a three-phased approach on anti-workplace bullying model that I think if we are bold enough as HR people, we can start, helping the organization create an emotionally well, a system. Because when people are emotionally well, they are able to engage better. They lead better. So yes, it's a call to action that you need to get the book. You need to get your leaders the book. And we can then talk about, different approaches for different organizations to change the culture. It has to change.
Absolutely. Mabore, I just want to say thank you very much for that. I just want to say to there's somebody who asked whether the conference will be online as well. Yes, it is hybrid, by the way, so you can have a look at the program, guys. Yes, and to all of you who attended here or is it in attendance and for participating and engaging so wonderfully. This is the most engaged audience for a book that we've had, a book launch that we've had in years. So thanks to all of you for taking the time and effort to support Mabore in this regard, and the hard work she's done and the groundbreaking work that she's done in this regard. So thank you to all of you. Have a great evening. And I've seen here some people have already started to buy the book. I've been copied on the sales. So
great stuff.
Don't go to bed tonight without buying a copy. All right. Thank you very much. Good night
you guys.
to all of you. Thank you.